Did you know that people and animals were interconnected more than we were being told? Do you know how humans mirror animal behavior and that animals mirror human behavior? These questions should lead each of us toward reflection, but also toward learning more about Rahila Khan's book, which is out now, called Manimals: Embracing Animals for New Humanity. This book is a guide that will help you experience and understand how the complex human behavior is being mirrored by animals. It is an easy read, recommended for personal and human resource development. Make sure you check it out on Amazon, where you will find both the ebook and paperback versions. Welcome back to Impact by Choice podcast with my beautiful guest, Rahila Khan today. And we're here with a small celebration of a very important milestone that my beautiful guest has reached lately, and we'll be speaking about it more. But first, let us greet Rahila. Hi.
Hi, Anuradha, and here it is.
How are you?
I'm great.
Yay! That's wonderful, and thank you for spoiling the surprise for the audience. But
you
that's
know,
the most beautiful part about every time we meet, is that everything is so spontaneous and so full of good vibe. So yeah, we'll speak about that book. But is there anything else that you would like to share before that?
oh, Anuradha, it's so good to be with you. I can't tell you how happy I am today.
Yeah, me
Just to
too.
see you. It's been a while, since the book launch, which happened, last year in November, at the end of November. And we haven't been like this for a while. So
Yeah.
this is the first podcast after a very long time, almost a year, I think,
Yeah, and
because
I'm so happy
we
to just dedicate it to this extraordinary event in your life. I'm really, really, really
yeah,
excited
yeah,
to
yeah.
gift you to that.
Boy, and did Manimals teach both of us, especially me,
Oh,
tolerance,
a lot.
perseverance, patience, and coming through COVID with all the challenges we had, getting the drawings and everything that came with the book. So it took 2 years in a way, and for it to be out again, I've been through a real emotional roller coaster as well, with South Africa being hit by the second wave of COVID, where I lost many friends, my ex-husband and family friends and childhood friends, and
Yeah.
it has been heart sore. It has been very emotional. I'm so grateful though to have all the skills and tools to help myself. It's the first time that I've been praying so much for myself, even, to help others, and doing a lot of outreach work in supporting families through bereavement and grief and mourning. And when different members of families, including my ex-husband who was hospitalized, is supporting these beautiful souls through the illness and into the transition into the light, has been really something for me to have experienced, as in Conscious Living and Conscious Dying, which will be my next book. I'll be sharing these stories.
Hmm.
And it truly has been really incredible, this whole experience. And but right now it's all about celebration and celebrating life and looking at Manimals. So I'm so happy that it took all of that for me to be where I am. So in a way, I'm supposed to be where I am with you right here, right now,
Of
that we
course.
are good, we are healthy, and we have so much abundance, so much to talk about and celebrate. So it's all good now. Thank you
For
so
sure.
much for having me.
Oh, always, as always, a real pleasure, Rahila. And it's nice that you brought it up, because I just want to thank you once again, for making me such a big part of your book, of doing all the technical stuff about your book, and just you said at some point that I even inspired you to write this book, and that's huge. That's actually huge for me. But then again, it's the learning curve on so many levels. But then the most important part of the learning is learning about myself through your book. So I would like to share with the audience what I shared at your event, because I was the fortunate one to be the technician, so to speak, and the MC, if I can say that, for your virtual event with the beautiful guests that you had on the panel. And what I shared in November on your book launching event was the fact that in that very morning, of the event, I realized that I lacked self-esteem for so long, for so many years. But then by reading your book and by going through it so many times, like I think like 20, 30 times maybe, in the whole process, um, I realized that I had to build my own self-esteem, like by myself, right? But then again, I was so fortunate to come across people like yourself who just pulled me out from the darkest of my moments. And with your help and through your book and through your sharings, I realized that I am this incredible combination of animals, which leads to the manimals that we'll be speaking about, um, a combination between the lion that roams the jungle alone, as you're saying in the book, and the owl, which in many parts of the world is regarded as a symbol of the wisdom, right? And I think that's why I brought this new friend of mine here, which is an owl,
Ah,
obviously. Um,
beautiful.
yeah, my most recent friend. But that's what I wanted to share is how I realized what a powerful mixture I am, because the people that will dive in deeper a bit later, but people who will be reading your book will realize that they will identify with at least one animal. But my advice would be not to limit themselves to the traits of only one animal, and just go through all of them, and realize that they can be a mixture between at least two or maybe three or even more animals. So each of us is this unique individual that has traits that no one can imitate, right? And that's why it is said that we are unique, precisely because of that, precisely because we have all this mixed um, package, right, of
Yes.
traits and knowledge and everything that represents being a human being. So that's in short what I wanted to share with the audience. But then linking it to that, I would like to invite you to link this episode to the last post that you made on LinkedIn. That is yesterday, I think, on how you shared how a lion just came bursting into the zoo. I think, was it the zoo?
No, the safari park. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry about that. My bad. So
Yeah. No.
it came, bursting into the safari park, and it just um, accompanying people having a picnic, right? And how the lion took its time to just stay there and just, you know, as I said, accompany the people. And I think it was absolutely adorable and very, very fit to your book. So would you like to share a bit in this context about that video and why you posted it and what it sent to you? What, it spoke to you in a sense, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
amazing.
and that's
Yeah.
another thing. There's another thing that made me brought you to that video, and that is the fact. One thing that you also share in the book is a personal experience of yours with a lion, right? So I would like you to
Yes.
share about that too.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Anuradha. This is so exciting chatting about real life stories. And I
Yeah.
think, Yeah, in discussing complex things like personalities, and if you look at my cover at the bottom, it talks about, I'm saying in a nutshell, this book is a guide to experiencing and understanding the complexities of human behavior, mirrored in animals for personal and human resource development. And that's exactly what these two stories we're talking about, is how we develop
Yeah.
ourselves. So the other thing that I learned, we always talk about intentional synchronicity.
Mhm.
And as the book was unfolding to launch on LinkedIn and social media, I come across this article that was written, and this photographer who shared his story, where we had visitors from the UK at the safari park in South Africa.
Mhm.
And the resort had prepared an outdoor breakfast for the guests. And who showed up? The uninvited guest, the lion. And it's sitting there like it's all meant for him, like the lion of the jungle,
Yeah.
how amazing that is. So what we're seeing, the simple, how something so complex as human behavior and animal behavior can be so simplified when we become the observers. So
Yeah.
what are we observing? The lion, he's just being himself in his natural habitat. He doesn't know about the resort and breakfast and all of that. So he's just finding his way through the jungle, and he just finds his breakfast there, and he's king of the jungle as though the humans are serving him. Of course, he's a king, so why shouldn't he have this amazing bread?
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I thought it was so appropriate for my book,
Hmm.
and therefore I used it. As an entrepreneur, we're very opportunistic in how we use certain things to our advantage. So God and the universe obviously was listening to me in how to promote my book. And that article showed up. So I took snippets of it with the photograph and I posted it on LinkedIn. It's so appropriate to my book. And how when we are in a calm space, when we let go of our aggression and whatever we feeling, that we can become so calm that the animal can see that and does exactly the same. So that was one part of of the post.
Hmm.
But my story, and if you look at on the post, there's a picture there of a lion that's just lying there.
Yeah, I saw that. I
You
saw
know,
that. Is that a cub or
yeah,
is
yeah.
it,
Well, it looks much younger. It looks much
like
younger,
a
not
cub,
fully
right?
grown. Yeah, and the reason I posted that, because I want to share how appropriate this is, because that was my experience of the lion. So I was
Yeah.
at a healing retreat in Johannesburg, just outside of Johannesburg, and South Africa has a whole lot of nature reserves and that. So I came out of the resort, and we were told to just walk in silence, and
Hmm.
I didn't know, so I just walked to the fence, and it was a mesh, just a wire fencing. And oh my God, when I look across the fence, I see this lion. He's just sitting there. And at that time, I didn't realize, like, what is this lion doing then? Later on, I found out actually it was a makeshift reserve. They were busy doing something with the big nature reserve where they should be. So,
Mm.
in this was like a makeshift reserve for them. And he's sitting there, and the first thing that caught my eye were his eyes, these huge golden eyes. It was just so amazing. So I don't know, out of nowhere, I'm just looking straight into his eyes and I'm saying, oh my God, you are so beautiful. I never ever have seen such beautiful golden eyes. And I'm actually looking at him and I'm talking to him, and there was so much calm within me. And I didn't think at that time that he could have attacked me. And it never dawned on me. I actually forgot about it until I began writing this book, that memory came up for me.
Oh.
And I just was talking to him, and next thing he just rolls on his back with all his paws in the air. So jolly and playful. Obviously, he must have been fed. So
Yeah.
as I was chatting to him, another lion come along, and the lion just sits next to him, and now I got two of them. And then I had to say goodbye to them because I had to get back to to my program that I was in. And it was just so incredible. So again, Anuradha, when we look at the complexities of humans and animals, the animal can be extremely animalistic, and the human, of course, can be very human. But what we are seeing, what we are seeing in the shift of elevated consciousness, especially coming out of COVID until now, we are seeing more and more how animals are taking on the consciousness of humans, and how the opposite is happening, where some humans are still behaving like animals in how they scream and shout and engage, in violent behavior, and that's very animalistic. And I think we are being called right now for us to come into greater awareness, self-awareness, so we can shift that behavior, and how then we can lessen that energy in the body and diffuse it. Because my experience have shown with the lion that when I diffused all my aggression and healing my past of being very animalistic, that when I came face to face with the lion, he just took on my human consciousness, and we mirrored each other. That's the mirror neurons we talk about all the time. And that is what this book is all about, Anuradha. It's the Manimals is half man, half human. Hence we got the word Manimals.
Yeah, and speaking about that, I need to stop you here for a second. And speaking about that, I would like you to show to the camera the front cover again, please, because it's so suggestive, like half man and half animal is so suggestive, and it's so majestically designed by your designer, by Leighton Pillay, and it's absolutely incredible, and it's something that people can color in, they can even photocopy it, right, and color it in, and it would be a great experience if, people listening to it and the ones who have the chance to purchase the book, if they could do exactly that, photocopy the drawing on the front cover and just draw it as they feel like doing that, and sharing it with us would be absolutely extraordinary to learn the feedback in that way, right?
Yes. That was a note to the reader in the book, that, you're allowed to copy it for your kids. And rather just to take a few steps back, just to let our audience know, why Manimals and why this book.
Yes, please go ahead. I got carried away with the compound word, of Manimals, and my mind just dropped to the front cover, which is extraordinary. Go ahead, sorry.
It's okay, because we're in the flow and we let it come as it does. So going back in time, some 20 to 30 years ago, when I left the teaching fraternity, I bought a franchise to teach children from the age of 13 into adults, and adults as well, about entrepreneurship. It was more the spirit of entrepreneurship and self-empowerment techniques. So what had happened, we were teaching children and adults about small businesses and how to set up small business ventures. And obviously, as you know, we have 3 types of businesses, and we have retail, service, and manufacturing. And most, even parents, in fact, I didn't even know, imagine being an educator at that time, that we must even look at our personality types in what businesses we're venturing into. I didn't know that until I went into my own training. And then we discovered that how would somebody know they would be good in retail or service or manufacturing? So Manimals was part of the teaching program, as in using it as a self-development strategy, as an activity in the training program, where, we had little write-ups about each animal, which you would find in the book, and then what we found when we had 30 delegates in the room, we would train them to listen attentively. Tuning in is a skill. So it was such a holistic program, in that, like, we're teaching you how to tune in, to listen to what is being said about each animal, and how that becomes Manimals when we look at human and animal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And what we discovered was, and I've seen this with kids and the people I was training, and how that shifted their thinking. It was like looking at lateral thinking skills. We were developing that as well, in how to think laterally. So in thinking laterally, in looking at the three businesses, excuse me, what we found, there was such an overlap with all the Manimals and their behavior, and looking at humans in the retail, manufacturing, and service business. Because if you're not a great communicator, you'll find it very difficult to be in retail, in sales and marketing, for example, because you need to speak a lot, you need to talk a lot, you need to have this verbal and non-verbal communication skills, as it were. In manufacturing, you'll find people who are quiet and happy by themselves, busy making their cakes and boxes or whatever they want to sell, and they're okay with it, in delegating quietly and getting their production line going.
Mm-hmm.
With the service industry, if you're providing a service like myself, I'm in the service industry, but also retail. Can you see there's an overlap? Because in setting up my business, in being a franchisee of selling the Earn and Learn program, I had to provide a service, but also I'm in sales and marketing in retail. So can you see the overlap?
Yeah.
And what we found with Manimals was so amazing. I'll give you an example, right? So in the group context, this can even happen in the boardroom. And we did this with CEOs and teachers as well.
Oh, that must have been really interesting, right?
It is so amazing. So I'm just going to share with you, right?
Okay.
So in the group, we would read the different write-ups for the different animals, and we'd say you could choose any animal besides those that's listed in the book. You can choose African animals, or you could choose any animal globally.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would not get a kangaroo in Africa, for example. Some places may not have foxes, or some places may not have lions. So we left it free and open. And then you got sea animals as well, like the dolphin and sharks. So it was across the board animals. And then, like, for example, the write-up for the frog would be, the frog with its big mouth will carry on croaking, but make no meaningful contribution to the group. And it just wastes everyone's time. So in the boardroom and in a school situation, at a staff meeting, or even within your friends and family, you would find the frog, was always talking and croaking away.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Doesn't necessarily, will always want this to be center of attention,
Yeah.
But then takes up all the time, and then you realize, hey, we've been in this meeting for over an hour, but we have no meaningful solutions to the challenges.
Yeah.
And it brings you to book then, hey, hang on, no, frog, enough now? Can somebody else have a say,
Yeah, maybe
and
like
then,
the bulldog or something.
Yeah. So the bulldog holds on tenaciously to his thought patterns as well. So you'll have that as well, like the principal of the school,
Yeah.
or maybe the CEO, owner of the business, who may not want, because he's pioneered the business, may not be open to taking suggestions or other people's ideas of how to do it differently. And you see a cross section with generations, right? And it's quite laughable. With the older generation, and I'm doing this in businesses. So before the lockdown, where I was doing the succession planning for businesses, where you got the grandfather, you got the son, then you got the grandson. And how then do you transition the business? Because you got the old school who will hold on like the bulldog tenaciously to his thoughts.
Yeah.
Then you got the middle, the son, and then the grandson. The grandson is a new generation. They very open. They think very differently, and they are lateral thinkers. They can do many things and multitask. And the older person cannot grasp that and say, no, but how can social media is not going to work for that. Hello, yes, that's a way to go. So that is what Manimals is, looking at the different personalities and how then we meet each other halfway or some way and say, oh, okay, I trust you have that experience, and yes, I love your ideas, and I can take it and I can make it completely different, for example. So you're taking 3 generational three generations of ideas, like in a mixed bag, and make it something so amazing and something so innovative, for the future. So I think this book is so amazing in that, it's a pocket-sized book. And my niece, who is, she's quite the traveler, because she helps with marketing, and I'm not too sure in the field of expertise, but she's holding quite a senior post, in South Africa with Unilever. And she was at my book launch, and she was sharing, which we will post, soon, her take on the book and how she read it whilst traveling on the plane, and she shared that. So the book is such an easy read in that way, that you can read it. I made it extremely simple, as you know. You helped me also, to word it precisely and concisely, that it makes sense. Sometimes few words have more impact than 300 pages, that we whittled it down to below 100 pages with all the beautiful drawings. And like, you rightfully pointed out, yes, you're allowed to photocopy them, bring them to A4 size so that the kids can color them in. And it's so therapeutic. And something else I want to, yes, Anuradha.
Yeah, I want to jump in here because you mentioned kids and you mentioned, the drawings. I was very fortunate to have the drawings, to put them into the book, like assemble the book and stuff. And I used them like the whole package of drawings, I gave them to my kids, and I colored them in myself. And it's exactly that, so therapeutic, like for me, I was like lost in the coloring while doing that, and it was incredible because it was the only moment of the day when I did have my space, my time, and that small piece, that slice of time for my own self, and just do whatever I wanted. So I did the drawings like days in a row every morning, and I did feel at peace, and what I did, and I listened to you because you recommend this. um, I played some soothing music in the background, which is so helpful, like tremendously helpful. But then I want to also mention the way my kids did it. So both of them, in the first place, chose the owl. Yeah, that was the first drawing that drew them in, and they colored them in so differently. I'm going to show that to the camera at some point, and I'm going to share also my drawings and so on. But they were so quiet, and they were like also like absorbed in the activity itself, like for instance, my elder has a longer attention span to one activity, but then my youngest one has a shorter span of attention, and it was interesting because both of them um, colored in the same drawing in such a different way, in such a different manner, but you know they felt something. We never actually spoke about it, but I saw them, while doing that. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with the audience, because also with the kids, you can capture them with those drawings, and it's a great um, it's a great way of allowing them to color something by using their imagination, by not using another pattern, as um, in a usual coloring book, right? Where you
Yeah.
are given a pattern, and then you are given the drawing that you need to color in after the pattern. So I think this is one of the greatest aspects about your book, is that you're not giving guidelines, but you're actually suggesting people to just, let their imagination flow. So
Yes, Anuradha. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I think that's the kind of feedback, we'd like coming forth from those who buy the book and use it. I think it couldn't have come at a better time. I mean, it was delayed. The whole idea started with both of us in 2018, December.
Yes.
And, we thought it would be out last year in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't meant to be. Finding the right artist to give the brief and to encapsulate the brief of each manimal takes some skill.
Oh,
and I was so grateful to have found the right artists, two artists to do that, and that's what took the longest time to do, because you can see how involved each drawing is. And it's truly incredible, in the way they did that, even the cover, in the way it encapsulates the entire book.
Yes.
It's hugely impressive. And I think that's what I wanted to bring out as an artist myself, but also as an educationist, as an entrepreneur, as a therapist, as a practitioner. I wanted to bring all these components into one book and talk about home-based leadership as well, in how, because you just did that, in 3 minutes just now. Home-based leadership is how parents, and we found this during COVID, that parents were left scrambling for good learning resource material for themselves and for the kids to occupy them. And this book gives you exactly that, that where you can train your own kids, but learn yourself. It's highly experiential. So the program that I was teaching then 30 years ago, where Manimals, was one part of it, it was in that it is highly experiential. There wasn't a program on the market at the time that brought about this level of experiential learning. And I think going forward, we spoke about this, you and I, that the offshoot from Manimals is going to lead to another book called Being Color, where adults and children alike will experience color, and you had firsthand experience through Manimals doing that. So I would urge all those who buy the book to engage with themselves, to engage in groups. It's such a beautiful activity to do, even with your friends. Even at a party, you can do this because it's so much fun. As you've witnessed, at the live launch.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to ask you. If you could share, in a few words, what happened at the book launching event, because that's exactly how you did it. You engaged with the audience. But
yes,
please tell the people how you did it.
Okay. So anyone can take this and use it as an icebreaker for a seminar, for a workshop, for a party, as a theme. Assuming you're having a kids' party and they dressed up as animals or wearing masks of animals, and then you can play a game with them and say, okay, so let's see, Yeah, so there's so many ideas that can be generated out of just this book. So what I did at the book launch was, as my guests came through, I had in a little basket, I had photocopied them and cut up strips, with the write-ups of each animal. And then I folded them and had them in this little basket, and each person had to pick up a piece of folded paper. And then when I spoke about the book, I told them, okay, fine, let's experience Manimals now. So each person opened up the piece of paper and they began sharing. That's what we will play, that video clip at some point for LinkedIn, for social media, and for those who want to know how it's done, you'll have an idea of, it's so much fun and just happened in 5 minutes. And then we had the different people sharing how they resonated with the lion. One was a monkey. And the most amazing thing is, each person picked up the most appropriate piece of folded paper.
Exactly.
Because
that's my cousin found absolutely amazing.
Yes. So I shared this. Yeah, my cousin Arti, you witnessed her, right? So she picks up the one that was the monkey, and she just cracked up laughing and all the audience, because we all know her to be that, she's always the clown and always with the witticisms, always entertaining, so fun and jolly, just like a monkey. So we all cracked up laughing because it couldn't have been more appropriate for Aarti to have picked up the one on the monkey and she shared, you know? It
Yeah.
was hilarious. And
Yeah,
then
and
somebody,
we were you know, for the audience, my girls were with me almost for the entire duration of the event, which is incredible for two kids, right? But what I want to say here is that the three of us were laughing here because yes, we didn't know Artie, your cousin, but we saw, I realized, you know, that it was the most appropriate animal for each of them, and they were laughing at my laughter, right, my girls. But it was incredible to witness this from such a long way from the other side of the world, you know, but seeing how it fits perfectly with the characteristics
yes,
of a specific person, right? How they
yes,
just draw what they are, because that's how it is in the end, right? That's the
yes, yes.
experience of it in the end.
Yeah, but what is so fascinating, Anuradha, about this activity is that, you know, when you start with my book, you will see we talk about the dark shadow side, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
ugliness of human personalities or animals for that matter. And yet, in the activity itself, it's a lightheartedness of something that is so complex and so serious, if you
Yeah,
notice,
yeah, and it
that
becomes
you
funny.
can yes, and that's what the book is about. It's about taking something so complex and so serious and so heavy and
Mhm.
making it light that we can laugh at ourselves because that is ultimately the cosmic joke. You know, the whole universe
Yeah,
laughs at us because we think, we're so perfect and we got things together and we know I'm the lion, I'm the pioneer of this business, and we're so serious about everything
yeah,
until somebody younger comes and says, oh, well, yes, you're the pioneer, but can we do it this way? And you say, no, but it's my thing, you know? So
yeah.
that is a cosmic joke that we can laugh at ourselves and take the heaviness and just make it lighthearted. It's just amazing, and kids just love it. Your kids loved it in the
Yes,
way you were sharing, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's so much fun. It really is. And looking at all the different and animals are that way. They're so
sure.
unassuming when you see them in the nature park and in the natural habitat, you know. Continuing from looking at the activities of Manimals and how lighthearted we can make it,
Mm-hmm.
at a deeper level, we are teaching the different intelligences, which I cover in the book as well. You
Yeah,
know, we speak about emotional intelligence, we speak about spiritual intelligence, collaborative intelligence, intuitive intelligence, and of course, love quotient, which is the love intelligence.
yeah,
And, you know, as you read through the chapters, you will learn about these things as these aspects as well, and you know how important it is in developing ourselves, looking at each thing. So through the activities, even with kids, you don't realize because you're doing it in such a play way, in such a fun way, even through the coloring activities, that you're actually developing these skills of collaborative intelligence
yeah, that's
in
true.
how you can share, you know, how you can share about how the different personality types come up, but then in a business or in a family, how then you can collaborate with each other without being angry, without being aggressive, without putting the other down, because you get to see your strengths and weaknesses and you learn to embrace it. And in embracing it, that's where our higher human values come to play, where we have, what do we have? We have more compassion, more empathy, more love, where we bring in and embrace unconditional love for each other. And I
You're
think that
speaking
is
about,
what
you see, you're speaking
this
about
is so
unconditional love.
amazing. But do you know your animals are so intuitive? And the owl and the cat brings that out.
And this
And
is
your cats
Tia,
have been so
everyone.
instrumental. And the cats have been so instrumental when you were editing my book, when we were having our
Yes.
chats, they were always present. So
Yeah,
yes, we welcome Kiki and we welcome
Tia. This is
I
Tia.
forgot Tia. We welcome you and we embrace your intuition and we thank you for teaching us curiosity.
Oh, yes.
And
Oh, yes. And my girls have witnessed this a lot. And I've even spoken to them about this precise thing, you know. And what's even more interesting is that one of the cats is half like me, my elder, and half as my young. So it has traits from both of them. And the other cat is the same, right? So it has half of the traits from my youngest and half from my elder. And they were like, oh, but on this topic, you know, Kiki is more like me, and that on that topic, Tia is more like you. And oh, but why doesn't she love me? Why doesn't she come to me that way? And why does she love you so much? You know, and it's interesting. It's interesting, you know, by bringing two animals at home is absolutely incredible. And speaking about animals, you know, they identify, they are even able to identify because they did that. You know, they said that Kiki has traits from one of them, and Tia has traits from the other one, you know. And it's so incredible to see that. And when you mentioned unconditional love, how Tia just jumped on my desk, that's absolutely incredible.
but you know, animals are that way.
Yeah.
They resonate unconditional love. And
Yeah.
that is what I'm sharing in the books as well, where we're talking about true life stories,
Mm-hmm.
where we're talking about Artie's dogs, Zuko and Gizmo, who passed on. He had
Yeah,
cancer.
but just
How,
let the audience and the readers discover those stories, please, because they
yes,
you
yes,
know
yes,
a
yes.
part of
So,
delight from your book.
yes. And how, you know, how humans and animals mirror each other. And that's why I shared, you know, those stories in there, including my own experience with the cat.
Mhm.
Um, and also with the black mamba, the snake, one of the most venomous snakes in the world.
That was an
And
incredible
I want,
share. That was an
yeah, I
incredible
won't talk
share.
about this like you rightfully said. Let the audience read about it. We won't share that part of it. But what I want to talk about are the qualities of the Manimals.
Mhm.
The fact that Tia showed up. Can you see how intuitive that she showed up at the right point,
Yes,
at just the right moment of this podcast, which is incredible.
yes.
So cats like the owl, and you shared the owl at the beginning of our podcast. You know, it's all about intuition.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
resonate intuition. And where we are now in our evolution, animals are teaching us about awakening to awareness, but also awakening into our intuitive intelligence.
Yes.
And that is what
Most certainly.
intentional synchronicity is all about. And how we co create then using our higher consciousness and values, how then we can communicate with animals. You get the horse whisperer, you get the snake whisperer. I experienced firsthand how the snake whisperer worked with taking this venomous 2.5 black mamba away into its natural habitat, away from human settlement, and
Mm-hmm.
how calm and beautiful the environment was, and how it cooperated. Can you see? In
Mm-hmm.
collaboration, you have to have cooperation. So, like you witnessed with your kids and the animals, how you are all cooperating and collaborating with each other,
Mm-hmm.
where this will even help heal something like sibling rivalry. And sibling rivalry is about one child feeling insecure because the other seems to be better.
Yeah.
And it's all about that. And we want to compete and we want to be better because we don't want to feel less than or inadequate. But look at what you've done, Anuradha, in being a home, you know, being at home and teaching home-based leadership. How your children are developing using all these self-development strategies. How you use Manimals in the most harmonious way, in the most simplistic way, and the children got it. Your girls absolutely got the teaching because you are leading by example. And what better way than to through therapy? Isn't that the best way to discipline children? Through therapy, through music, and engaging all that energy that goes to waste into something so constructive where we're coming home to our soul experience through music, through the coloring in, how we are harnessing and embracing color and the qualities of each manimal
Yeah.
that we because you're telling them about it and the mind has got it at a deeper level how beautiful each animal is, and in coloring in we mirror that and we bring it out in art form, which we will share, in a little video on LinkedIn, the beautiful artwork that kids and adults created alike. And this is what's so magnificent about the book. With the artwork, each person can only create magnificence. And this is
Sure.
their magnificence portrayed in the coloring in. And for myself, if I may just share this,
Sure.
having lost having lost my very dear friend and colleague of 20 years, we shared a practice together where we shared a room in facilitating what we did. And we did a lot of outreach work in healing in South Africa. And, all of a sudden he had contracted stage 4 cancer. And in embracing that, it was a huge shock to my system. But being with him and supporting him, I didn't know I had to experience this for myself in conscious living, conscious dying, in taking somebody through this transition. It was the first experience for me as a practitioner. I never had this kind of experience before. So with being with him and being, it was very traumatic and coming home, I would get into the space and just go into deep meditation, put some nice music, and I would just color in each time I visited my dear friend Rod. And what came out of this with Manimals was this book was for my healing. So often
Sure.
we think we have this great idea that we want to showcase to the world in how we can heal the whole world, but actually not. This was a huge awakening for me coming home to my own healing through the book. And it's interesting, even in my CDs before, which of course we uploaded and gifted to humanity during the lockdown, was the same experience. That whatever I recorded was not for everyone else. Actually, it was for my own healing. And the strong message that I would like to put out here and now is that we cannot heal anyone, we cannot serve anyone until we've served ourselves. And in healing and serving ourselves, that is where we serve humanity and
That's so
lead by
true.
example.
Yes, yes, God, that's so true, Rahila. And I would like to also add here, since you shared this with the audience, I would like to share the fact that even I, when I wrote my first and my second book, I thought just the same, that it would be something that will help someone else. But then in the end, in looking back, just before publishing each of them, I realized that it was just my experience put in some character, into some fictional character and situations. But then it was all about the lessons that everything that I've learned from you. And then the second book being about, something that I wanted to become at some point and I never got a chance. So it was, for the second one, was healing a trauma that I wasn't even aware of the fact that I was still carrying it with me. But with releasing that book, I do believe that I also healed, that episode. So I totally resonate with you in saying that, even though you're saying that you'd like to, yes, your book to help other people and they will be healing some other people's, I don't know, inside turmoil, maybe help them become aware of it and heal it. In the end, it's only about, your own personal experience that you're just sharing, but your personal experience with healing yourself and just sharing it with the world. So I
Yes,
totally resonate. Yes.
yes, yes. And the more we come to love ourselves, the more, our self-esteem increases, our confidence increases,
Yeah.
our self-image increases. and you become more confident as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as a teacher, or
Yeah.
just being a child. And this is what the gift of Manimals and the training program was all about, is about the self empowerment that came through. And that is why the spirit of entrepreneurship is the key in developing yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business person, that you got to know yourself first.
For sure.
And then through that, your business grows. What I found right until this point in facilitating my clients, my private clients at the moment, in coming through all the lessons that I learned through business, through my personal, uh, my personal growth, by getting help from others, and that's where you become more comfortable in your own skin. And the
Yeah.
more comfortable you become in your own skin, there's no fear of animals then. There'll be no fear of other humans even, because other people can see you are comfortable and they love that and they feel safe with you. So there's no need to harm you in any way. That's what I have discovered right until this point. It's amazing.
Just like the conversation
What
we
better
had
way to
today.
heal our fears?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yes,
amazing. Just like the
yes.
conversation we had today.
So,
So, I want to thank you once again, for joining me for today's episode and for sharing so openly and so beautifully about your personal experiences, about the book. But I want to ask you one more thing before we
sure.
close this, Rahila. Would you be so kind as to share the feeling you had, the first feeling you had once you saw your book out and on the book launching event?
It was like, when I went to the printer and he gave me the book, it was like holding it. The first thing I did was this, just
Hug
hold
it,
it to my
right?
heart
Hug it.
and hugged it. And then the next thing was like, yay, I did it, I did it, I did it. And my son just gives me a big hug because he went with me and we both were so excited. And even in the car, he looks at me and whilst driving, he reaches out to me and he says, Mom, well done. I can't believe you did this, and he's also holding the book in his hand and like, you do this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my God, did I do this? Like,
Yeah,
did
I was
I
just
actually
about to
do
ask
this?
you. I was just about to ask you, like, I'm sure that you read it, right? Right after getting it from the printer, you read it at least once. I'm sure
Yes,
about that.
yes, yes.
So
No,
how
I
did
read
it
it about,
feel? How did it feel? You seeing
I
your
was
own work in
so,
your own hands.
it's indescribable. It's just indescribable. It's
And
like so much work. I can't believe that I did it. One is disbelief. It's like a good disbelief.
yeah,
Like, I can't believe I did this, that it took me 2 years
yeah,
to put all of this stuff together and to look at the drawings, Anuradha, to look at the drawings and how it fitted into the book, even the cover, the way it
yeah.
turned out. I can't believe this guy did this. It was like appreciating creativity at its best. The
Hmm.
elation, the jubilation in looking at synchronicity of all the right people that showed up. My prayer from 4 years ago was answered by you showing up. And
Oh,
I'd like to encourage everyone that's listening to this podcast, reach out to Anuradha. There's nothing difficult about writing a book. Writing a book is about venting everything that you keep in your mind into a book. Even just write it onto pages. She is so amazing in taking whatever I scribbled onto pages, she took it, edited it, and put it in a sequence that is mind blowing. So I
that's
trust you
so
implicitly. I trust your professionalism, your skills in the way you've guided me to write. I'm not a great writer. I'm a teacher. I teach others how to write. I'm talking about children in English. But I'm not the best in being an author, but you're bringing it out in me more and more, that I'm looking at writing a series of books now.
Yes,
in
you have
experiential
to.
learning,
You have
all
so much
adults.
wisdom that you need to share with the world that it would be a pity not to carry on with writing.
Yeah, yeah. So in asking me, Anuradha, I was overexcited, but I had my heart was filled and filled. My every fiber of my being was filled with gratitude for you as well,
Thank you.
for have met,
Likewise.
for meeting you, for our collaboration, for your inspiration, for telling me, you let me be me,
Yeah,
and as I let you be you, but we
exactly.
know
Yeah.
what to say when want to say to each other, and we can be highly professional, and we can say it like it is, and there's no hard feelings. I think that maturity is such a beautiful maturity, which I'd love everyone to have in collaborations. And what else is so amazing is that you and your girls are part of my family, my cosmic family, that they all just fell in love with you and your girls at the book launch, where you met my entire family and friends, my closest friends, my soul buddies here in South Africa, and they just fell in love with you. And also with Ultimesh, my son and his girlfriend Pooja, you mean so much. Your girls were like little angels, and everyone just fell in love with you and your girls. So
No, thank
I
you.
don't have words to thank you for your support in the way you co-hosted with me, with helping with the virtual guests, all those who did the reviews for the books. I can't thank each of them enough. Chitralele, Ravindran, Ziraman, Rama Sarma, and then there's Ali Nicole, and of course all my other clients and friends who were on the virtual
Usually.
platform. In the way you hosted them, in the way you you came across in such a loving way and embraced them all, even though you didn't know them personally. But they all just loved you so much.
No, thank you.
And hopefully, we will share in small snippets, via LinkedIn in upcoming posts, the
For
different facets of the launch. And more so, the Manimals and how people are resonating with the drawings
mm-hmm.
and bringing it out in a
Yeah.
whole nother way. And I think this will bring a lot of healing, a lot of learning and development, I think, on LinkedIn for lots of people.
Hope
I
it.
can see, we didn't anticipate this, but I'm seeing it already from all the feedback I'm getting in South Africa for the book. So, yes, so it is truly amazing. So I'm excited at every level. It's like, when you switch on the computer and it starts initializing, that's how
Mm-hmm.
my body was when you ask me, how was it? And right until the book launch until now, it is such a mixture of feelings, a mixed bag of feelings with the book, as you know. And
Yeah.
you went through it with me every step of the way, because we were on a high when my book came out. Then my friend got sick. Then he passed on. Then it was someone else who was hospitalized. And just when we were about to do something for the book, something else happened. And
Mm.
there was always this delay. And I began to learn about synchronicity and how the universe works. And for me, that has been the greatest learning in the last 6 months, through the conscious living, conscious dying, and being in the moment. So, in the moment, right here, right now, I'm overly excited. One is to be live with you in this way and to have this deep connection, the soul connection, but also feeling so connected to my LinkedIn family in every which way. The fact that we got back this week in February 2021, I'm sensing the energy of our LinkedIn family, and the way in how they received us through the book launch. And I take this opportunity to thank every person on LinkedIn and the people who even created LinkedIn and all social media platforms, everything to do with the technology. I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, have so much love and gratitude for technology and innovation. And may we all grow together in abundance and prosperity. I want every single person out there to be abundant and prosperous. As we are becoming abundant and prosperous, Anuradha, through the products we are creating, through the business aspects that we are doing together. I want you to be as successful as possible, as is with every other person, whether it's on LinkedIn, but on planet Earth. We only wish the best for everyone. And I'm just so grateful for life itself right now, that we can breathe
Likewise.
and we can just live. Yes.
Likewise.
Thank you for an
You said, go ahead.
thank you for an awesome chat today. I so loved it.
Yay! I so loved it myself, you know, and as you were saying that, you know, I inspired you to write your first book. Um, Without your teachings, none of my two books have come to life, because you taught me so much. As I was saying in the beginning, that you brought me up, you know, from one of my darkest moments. So for that, I am truly grateful, like forever, to you, and for allowing me to be part of your journey moving forward, and until now, with your first book and with your upcoming writings. So thank you, and thank you again
And
for being
yeah,
here.
yeah. Anuradha, might I ask you a question,
Of
right?
course.
You've been the writer and editor for my book, Manimals, and I just based on the book, how was your experience?
Okay, that's a good one. Um,
In what
well,
ways have you grown? What ways have you grown as an editor, as an author, as a person, in your growth as an entrepreneur? How was that experience for you?
from your book, linked just to your
Yes,
book.
yes, yes, yes. Just my book.
So it was, first of all, the the growth on a personal level, as in from taking the teachings from it, right? Like you're speaking about the quotients that you mentioned a bit before, right? And when I saw the love quotient, it was like, oh my God, does this even exist? I mean, I didn't even know it existed. And it just came so natural to me, like for a few years now. And I just want to share love with everyone. And I just want everyone to love everyone, you know, and just collaborate. And you mentioned collaborative intelligence, and you're mentioning emotional intelligence. So that very piece with all these quotients, um, quotients, quotients, sorry.
Quotients. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
That very
Mm.
piece was absolutely incredible for me. And then what hit me in the beginning, and obviously it hits you from the start because it's in the first pages of the book, was with the blind spot. And I realized that we all have blind spots, and I realized, you know, I actually managed to put a finger of on what you have been telling me for a while, right? That you need someone, like every person needs another person to point the blind spots to them, right? So
Yes,
until reading that in your book and linked to Carl Jung, I didn't understand exactly what you were telling me, but that very bit, right, which is in the very beginning of the book, that was absolutely incredible, and it was a slap to me, to be quite honest. But it was a good slap, right? Then the stories, your personal stories, like with the lion, the one you mentioned, and then the ones your cousins shared. Oh my God, those are so, you know, emotional, and I'm sure that everyone will love them, because it takes you like from the, you know, from a beginning point, like it takes you to the high, and they take you to the low, and then it takes you to the teaching of that very experience, which is absolutely incredible. And that was on a personal level, like from the teachings and everything. And then of course it was the drawings. Those drawings were a true blessing, you know. And it brought me again to realizing, as I was saying, about, you know, the conjunction of animal traits that I have and stuff. And sharing them with the girls was also interesting, as I shared. And then as an editor, um, There were challenges, to be quite honest, but due to the fact that we have such a good collaboration, all those challenges were so smooth, right? The solving of the challenges were smooth. And then what hit me in the head the most was the experience with Amazon. That was like a bomb. But again, it was a learning curve, a huge, huge learning curve, right? That was most like a publisher, I think, right? Than as an editor. But I realized that I have gifts in working on this book with you. I realized how gifted I am in a certain area, and that area is, structuring a book. The thing that I couldn't understand, when I'm writing, my writing just flows like from the title down. I don't need a structure because the structure comes on the way. And I was unaware that for other people would not be that easy, right? So that was another learning for me, another thing I had to learn to be maybe more empathetic with people that don't have it flowing that well. But again, that's thanks to you, because you taught me a lot of things, and that you speak to me in a certain way, and I speak to you, like wholeheartedly, and we're both open to each other, Rahila. So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And I know that's why you're brilliant at what you do. As a writer, as an editor, and all of it, because you offer the whole package. And therefore, I would encourage more and more people to actually write, because writing is so therapeutic as well.
Yes. I vouch
to just to vent whatever onto paper, but not to burn it up. But you can earn from it in making it a book and selling it. So all our trauma and that must not just go to rubbish. You can make money out of it.
Yeah, it can help other people realize that they are not alone if they're going through a certain episode of their lives that
yes,
shared with
yes,
why not, right? So it was
100%.
like, at some point, I know that there is an expression, someone's pain, someone's rubbish, someone else's gain, or someone's pain, someone
Yes,
else's
gain, yes,
express.
yes.
So it's
Yeah.
like, why not, also assist people, so to speak, by sharing your own experiences, so it's okay to be
I think
vulnerable.
this is a strong message to put out there, that more and more people should actually write their stories, no matter how simple it is or how they may think it's unexciting. But somebody like you can turn it around, and actually the way in which you word it and the way in which you put it gives it so much more impetus and credibility, to make it a story or a book to sell. So yeah, I would encourage more people out there to seek people like you, in your professionalism, in your expertise, to do that more and more. So well done, Anuradha. I wish you all the best in all your endeavors, and thanks a million for just about everything that you've done.
Thank you so much, Rahila. And I think I forgot to congratulate you in this episode of the podcast for your incredible milestone. And I can't wait for next books. Love you, big time.
Yeah, well, we're getting there slowly but surely. It's almost there, the second one. Yeah. Lots of love, Anuradha.
You too. Bye.
Bye.